So, welcome, Paola, to the Joie de Vivre podcast. It's a pleasure having you here. I'm so excited for today's interview. I will let you introduce yourself first and tell us more about yourself.
Of course. Hi, thank you for having me. Hi, everybody. My name is Paola Guthrie. I was born and raised in Mexico. I am an immigrant in the United States for about 17 years, and I am a mom. I am a wife. I am a daughter. Uh, I am a life coach, brain coach, and a neuroencoding specialist trying to inspire other women to better their lives, to create a better future.
That's beautiful. And one thing you forgot, you are a superwoman. Managing all of this together and keeping the smile is a beautiful thing. So, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure having you here today. Today's call will be focused on self-love. It's a very important, thing to discuss, to talk about, to know, and also accept. Because growing up, I was told to give and love others and respect others and listen to your parents, but we were not unfortunately we were not told to love ourselves as much as we should, and also how to nurture yourself and embrace yourself the way you are, and it's something that we learn as we grow. So what is self-love to begin with, and why it's important in our lives?
Well, self love is showing up for ourselves. And it is so important because we are our number one cheerleader. We are the only ones that know how much pain we have felt. We are the only ones that truly know how much we've been through.
Mhm.
So, self love is just showing up for ourselves to encourage ourselves to continue to go. Because whenever we are fulfilled, then we're able to pour into others. We're able to love more and show love to our husband and our children and our family and coworkers.
So it should start with us, and then it transitions to
Yes,
the people around.
definitely starts with us. It's like we show up for ourselves first
Mhm.
so that we can pour onto others.
And that process usually happens naturally once you're gentle with yourself and you love yourself. It's an easy transition once you become a mom or responsible for others, and that doesn't happen naturally unless you work on it.
Yeah, definitely. We have to be aware, what works for us. Like maybe what it works for me might not work for you.
Yes.
Maybe the way that I show love to myself, it's different. I enjoy meditation. I enjoy working out. I enjoy eating healthy. And that's just a way that I choose to show up for myself.
Yes. And so basically you do what works for you and what's best for
Yes.
you. And that's perfect. And so how did you end up in the coaching space, and what was your motivation? What keeps you going today? Serving, I know you're focused on women. And so can you give us a little bit of the background and also what's keeping you going every day?
Of course. Yeah, that is a beautiful question because about 16 years ago, my son was diagnosed like profoundly deaf. They said, well, he was born profoundly deaf. So right at that time, there was a spark that was born within me, where it's like I have to show him that there is no barriers. I have to show him that there is light in this world and that anything is possible. So I went to college and I wanted to improve myself to show him that it was possible. And through that path, I said, I'm going to become a doctor. And whenever I took the MCAT, which is the test to apply for medical school, my lowest score was reading. And, being an immigrant, my second language is English. So I started reading self development books because that's the only thing that attracted me to read.
Yes.
And the whole intention for this self development books was just to increase my reading, to speed up my reading and comprehension. And before I knew it, self education healed me.
Wow.
And I just fell in love with it. And I'm like, this is just a much better way to help people, to guide them and just share what I learned and how it healed me.
Yes.
So that's how the passion, got started. So I think it's kind of silly because I didn't like reading.
That's beautiful. And yes, and so you had a strong motivation, and your challenge took you to the right place. You were being proactive instead of you sitting and waiting for something to happen or asking yourself why I'm going through this and why it's not someone else. You actually chose to be proactive and find ways to help yourself and your son along the process. And that's something
Yes.
I applaud you for, because that's the strength of a true mom, so that's beautiful, and thank you so much for sharing. It means a lot to me, and I'm sure it will mean a lot to mothers out there. And so during your coaching journey, I'm sure you came across so many clients, and you had to work with colleagues in this space, and discuss with people about their challenges and what they're working on and their goals. How do you like use all this background and learning experiences to affect yourself and to stay positive, and also like keep up with like nurturing and loving yourself during the process?
I learned from Joseph McClendon III to look at myself in the mirror every morning and say my name and then I love you. And that automatically just bring a big smile. I look at myself in the mirror and I said, Paola, I love you. And it's just, like I feel the love.
Yes.
And then Mel Robbins, I learned from her to like just high five yourself every morning. So I those are just strategies and techniques that I use daily to encourage me to move on through the day with a smile, with a good attitude.
That's so nice. And we would never, like, if we were not exposed to the self-development or self-growth arena, we would never think that something this simple and just like add it to your daily routine will bring a huge impact on your life, until you do it and you're like, oh my God, this is working. And not only it's affecting people around you, because if you're showing up with that positive like attitude, then you're affecting the energy in the house and outside as well. And affecting people around you as well.
Of course, yes.
That's amazing. And so we're gonna move a little bit to social media, because this is something that I always ask people during the interviews, because social media is great. We can learn a lot. There's so many like free information, amazing like people talking out there, and building awareness, and adding huge value to our lives. But it can also affect us negatively, right? It's too much to keep up with, too many trends, too many advices, too many people trying to sell their programs and so on, or products. And so how do you do it to keep up with the crowd, and how do you protect yourself and your personal value and self-love in that process? Because it's so easy to drift away, right? And so how do
Yes.
you keep up with everything and also protect that beautiful, thing that you're working on with yourself?
I ask myself to have an intention. Like when I see myself grabbing the cell phone and I was like, okay, what is the intention? Like, are you just going to spend 5 minutes? Are you going to create? Or are you here to get information? Because sometimes I do use it sometimes we have groups and I'm like, oh, do we have a call today? Or sometimes they cancel the call. So it's easier to look on the Facebook group. It's just faster. And sometimes I have to be aware. And I think we have to make ourselves aware. It's like, what is the intention of being on social media right now? Because I'm trying to create, and post things that are positive.
Mhm.
And I'd rather be a creative than be a consumer. Because if I'm a consumer, I can be there, for hours probably. And that would just numb my brain.
Yes.
So I think it's like being aware and asking ourselves, what is the intention of being on Facebook right now, or Instagram, or any other social media app that we're using at a time?
Mhm. That's a great advice. So just go there with the an intention to actually create something, or if you're going to consume something, what are you going to consume? So for instance, I am interested in self-love. I can go to Google or to YouTube and just take like self-love, and just go and look for podcasts and people who are talking about it, versus just like go into the news feeds and just be lost in there for hours watching what people are about, or something that's not going to bring you a value. And social media can be super entertaining as well, but if again,
Yes.
if you limit it, and if you know where to go, so you need to have a plan before you get in there or you're gonna get lost.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Be aware and have the, what's your intention of being in there? How long are you going to be on,
Yeah.
on the app for? Yes.
Yes. So I'm in the coaching space as well, and I know that helping people sometimes can, be great. It gives you like huge fulfillment in your life, and not only just, material wise, you also feel like you're adding some value, to the world. And so, but how do you manage sometimes between managing your personal challenges and also trying to help other people in the field and trying to add some value to their lives? How do you go about doing both of them at the same time? Like, do you feel like, oh, I have to get everything together, I have to have a perfect life before I go and help my client? Or you understand that every life is different and unique and we all need help somehow?
I believe that we all need some help. So, at some point in our lives,
Mhm.
we are not perfect. That is something that self-education taught me, is like, stop trying to be perfect, because that doesn't exist. There's not a measurement for to be perfect. So what I learn is like, I develop a tool that I ask myself, it's like, when I feel like overwhelmed, it's like, are you using your integrity? Are you loving? Are you being faithful? Are you showing gratitude? Are you bringing the joy? So when I ask those 5 questions to myself, that kind of like aligns me and kind of centers me.
Okay.
And then I go back to like, okay, I am a mom right now. If I'm handling a mom situation, is like, I am a mom.
Okay.
And if I'm doubting, like myself with a client, then
Mhm.
it's like, I ask myself those 5 questions. It's like, am I practicing integrity? Am I being loving? Am I bringing the love, the gratitude, the joy, faithful?
Okay.
And that's how I kind of like align myself.
That's great. So you detach yourself from what you're doing or what you're about to do. You connect with yourself, you connect with your inner soul, ask those questions that will bring you alignment. And once you get there, then you move on to serve your family or your clients or whoever is in that process with you.
Yes, yes, because I think we forget to be like present, like our mind wanders, like it wonders of, how are you going to cook for dinner, tonight? Or are you going to you do laundry? Or did you call this person? Or did you pick up the, something at the
Yeah.
grocery store? So it's like, we have to learn to focus. We have to, here it comes again, the intention. What is your intention right now? How can you be truly present for your client, for your husband, for your children?
Yeah, and it's because it's so easy to drift away. I was like actually reading this book about like how to go over like educating yourself in terms of like gathering knowledge and everything. And the author was saying about that we have to repeat everything that we read. So for example, if you are watching like a video and you're interested in, and that's your something that you're focused on, you have to make sure that you read it like every day, like for you listen to it, sorry, for like 5 minutes a day, because I'm sure in between a couple of sentences your mind took you somewhere else. So that focus and that like training your brain to kind of like stay focused on that thing that you're doing and do it intentionally, it's very important, because that's human nature. It's not just you or me. We all have so much going on in our lives, and our brains are like moving 24/7, thinking
Yes.
24/7. So that's a great exercise to do, to kind of like repeat and stay focused and just work on that process again and again. And that's the beauty of like working on yourself, is that it never stops. You always discover something to tweak, to learn, to upgrade, and you keep going, and everything will take you to the next level. Every door will take you
Yes.
to another one.
Yeah, I've heard the training never ends. So,
It never,
yes.
yes, yes. And so so when you educate yourself about like self-love and self-embrace, I'm sure you come across so many like advices and tips and things to tell yourself and so on. How do you go about filtering this information and applying it and making it practical in your daily life?
I choose what I need at that time, because, you go to a seminar or you go to a training and there's lots of information.
Mhm.
So I don't overwhelm myself with everything, and it's like, I know at that I'm there for a reason.
Okay.
So I try to pick whatever I need at that time. If I am trying to manage, my stress better, then I'm pretty sure they're going to talk about something that I need, and that's what I'm going to adopt. And just like you were saying a while ago, if I have the opportunity to rewatch the training, or there's a post training or something, I'm pretty sure I'm going to relearn and then gain more information as we go. So I don't overwhelm myself with trying to learn everything, because our brain can only process, it's like a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
And I stick with that. It's like, just choose one, two things and practice them and see how it goes.
That's good. That's amazing. That's a great tip. Thanks for sharing. And so I'm gonna move to self-love again. And so growing up, I thought like if you love yourself a lot and you embrace yourself, you might tend to be selfish, in that way, because if you're always like go to yourself and try to like focus on yourself much, you tend to like neglect people around you or not serve, your family and people that, that care for you. But then with life you learn, you grow, you mature, and then I learned that it's actually not the case, because, and again, this is culture, right? Because your culture will affect you and you will like impact you, and certain concept that you were taught when you were young, sometimes you misunderstand them and you read them on your own maturity level, and then you realize that, oh, actually it wasn't the case. I wasn't told not to love myself, but I was mostly told to give and love others, to the point that I wasn't aware that there is something called self-love, or self-love is a bad thing, right? So what is a tip that you can share with the audience today that will, especially females, women out there, to feel that there is nothing wrong with loving yourself and nurturing yourself and accepting yourself the way you are? And it's not you're not being narcissistic, you're not being selfish, you're just being a loving woman who is, or female, who embraces herself and accepts herself the way she is.
I would tell them that you are your number one fan. Again, it's like, you know what you've lived. Only you know how much pain you've been through. Only you know the path you have walked. Only the weight on your shoulders. So there are strategies, there are techniques out there that they can remove the weight, that they can teach you to smile, they can teach you to be grateful, to love fully. Because like you said, it depends on our culture. uh we have been taught to, yeah, be nice, be nice to everybody. And we don't think of ourselves, like we have to be nice to each other. I would say there are 4 areas on our life that you and I need to work on. You have your biology. What can you do to add value to your biology? That could be eating healthy, that could be exercising, that could be getting enough sleep. And then you have your psychology. What are you doing to have a positive psychology, which that means with yourself? Like, how are you killing those negative thoughts that we all get? We all get negative thoughts. So how are you dealing with that? The third area would be your social life. How are you treating others? So you have to learn to treat yourself nicely, so that you can truly be nice to others. And then your fourth one is your spirit uh, area. Like, what is the purpose in life? I mean, you are a miracle of God if you believe in God. If you don't believe in God, then you are a miracle of nature.
Yes.
You're here for a reason. Yeah. So like, if you work on those 4 areas of your life and find out how can you improve, uh, self-love is there for you, and then you can share it with the loved ones.
Yes, and then it's going to be a natural process. Once you're aware of it and you embrace it, you're just gonna find yourself doing it without any extra thinking. And so finally, I wanted to focus on people and energy around you, and how it can affect self-love. Because let's see, I am confident that I'm doing the right thing, I'm working on myself, I'm improving, I'm reading, I'm doing everything it takes to develop myself personally and spiritually. But people around me are like saying, criticizing me or judging me for who I am and telling me that I'm not enough, or I'm not doing the right thing, or I should do this and should do that. And this is not a case. I'm not speaking like from a personal perspective. I'm speaking from an overall perspective. I am a people person, and I talk to every people, and from all different ages. And every time I sit down with someone, people ended up telling me their stories without knowing why they tell me the stories. And I'm not bragging about it. I was like that since I was a kid. It's just my nature. I think people feel that love energy from my side. And so I've seen a lot of people getting hurt by others. I've seen self-love in people in like naturally and strong one, but I've seen them getting hurt to the point that their confidence was into question, their action was into question. They kind of lost themselves in that process, and they stopped the connection within. And so what are some of the, I would call it, self-defense mechanism this women can use, in these kind of situations? Because, it's easy for me to tell people, oh, self-love is great, it's amazing, you should do it, practice it, here's A, B, and C, like, sentences you can tell yourself. But then if they are in a situation that they're sucked, and they're not like fully, alive to actually practice these things, what are some of the things that, based on your experience with yourself, your clients, and I'm sure you're a people person as well. You've been like in touch with so many women out there. What are some of the tools they can use to face this kind of situations?
I would say go to your heart. Stay away from your mind, because your mind will get you in trouble. But your heart knows your true essence, and your heart will lead you with love. Sometimes we set ourselves for failure because we are in our mind. Like right now, we are in the end of 2021, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things I've been telling my clients is like, analyze what you accomplished this year from your heart, because your mind will be wondering, hey, what about the new car you said you were going to buy this year?
Yes.
What about the bigger house you have been planning to get for the last 5 years? What about the weight you didn't lose this year? What are you going to do about it? So our mind will always get us in trouble. And I will truly advise you to go to your heart, because your heart knows your true essence. And even when people are not believing in yourself, as long as you know, what's your purpose in life, that's all it matters. It's like push through it. Your heart will tell you the truth, and it will guide you with love. If somebody's being rude, I'm pretty sure your heart will guide you to smile at them.
Yes, it's true. Totally right. Because I've seen women out there who are going through tough times, but they're strong and they're smiling, and you wouldn't even think they're going through what they're going through. And when I ask them, how are you keeping up? They say, because I have a purpose and I'm going for it. And it's because their heart is guiding them. Their mind is kind of like protected, even though they get hurt sometimes and they don't feel well and they get attacked or whatever. But emotionally, but still they have that desire in them, that power within them it's pretty much guiding them, and they're keeping up with everything. And it's almost like it's noise. They just block the noise and they just keep going.
Yes.
And that's a beautiful thing when you get to that level where you're like, your worth, your value, and it doesn't matter. You don't need to be loved by everyone. You need to be loved by yourself first, and the other people will come along, the right ones. That is such an amazing conversation. It's a true pleasure having you here and talking to you. If there is anything you wish to share with women today, one of the final, I would say, tips, or just something from your heart that you can speak about to women out there. And it's beautiful that you came from an international background. Same with me. I've been here for 10 years, and it's, when you said I'm an immigrant mom, it's almost like I'm talking to myself. And it's, we're going through a lot, and we're actually, in a way we are, super women, right? Because we have to integrate in new societies and build and learn and teach, right? And so
Yes.
that doesn't come without hard work. So what is something that you can share from your heart today?
I would say, know your identity. It's like know what your life values are, because that will guide you. You know, like for this year, this 2022, it's like set your goals as like what are those values you're going to stand by, because they're going to help you in the hard times. It's going to remind you, oh, I am love. I am grateful. You know, it's like if you're practicing gratitude, like this year, I adopted four. And of all those four, one of them is my weakness, and I'm going to have to add it this year. But I told myself, you know, I am love all through this year, through hard times. It's like remind myself, it's like, I am love, and that's how I'm going to act. I had adopted, I am creative. You know, it's like, I am creative.
Yeah.
And I would remind myself, you know, like through hard times, you are creative.
Yes.
Show up, you know, show up with your love, show up with your creativity. And I told myself, I'm courage.
Wow.
You know, it's like going through hard times. I'm love, I'm creative, I'm courage. And my fourth one was I am laughter. And I think I laughed more this year, but I didn't laugh as much as I wanted to. So I'm going to have to adopt that for 2022. So know your identity. Yeah, know what your values that you stand by, because through hard times, you can remind yourself who you truly are.
Yes. And that will help you to keep up and keep going.
Yes, yes. And stay in your heart. That was a big one I learned this year. Is like stay away from your mind, because your mind will get you in trouble. But if you're in your heart, you know your purpose.
Use it only when it's necessary.
Yes, exactly. Yes, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
I agree.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Paola, for your time. It's been such a pleasure talking to you and having you here in the show. I'm sure we can have another conversation soon. There is so many great things to discuss and to, you know, add value to other women's lives in all parts of the world. So thank you so much again, and have a nice day.
You too. Thank you, everybody.